Good evening, sweetheart. It's Maggie. Come sit with me. Let's make this night a gentler one. If this is your first night here, you don't need to catch up. You don't need to understand anything. Just sit. The house will do the rest. After 9 in the evening, something changes. Not outside. The world out there keeps moving as it always does. But inside things begin to settle. Earlier tonight, the house was still holding itself upright. Rooms staying alert. Corners pretending they weren't tired yet. But now the effort has eased. There, that sound. The chair always does that after 9. Not complaining, just acknowledging that weight has arrived. When I was younger, sounds like that made me uneasy. I thought quiet meant stillness, perfect silence, no interruptions. But age has a softer lesson. Quiet isn't empty. Quiet is what happens when nothing needs to prove itself anymore. I brought my tea with me tonight. Chamomile. Simple. Familiar. I didn't drink it right away. I let the warmth rise first. Even tea needs a moment to become itself. If you're awake right now, while the rest of the house or the world seems to have gone on without you, you're not behind. Some nights we're not lonely. We're just more awake than everything else. The air in the room is still, not heavy, just present. You can hear it in the way sound travels. The faint tick of the clock down the hall, the low hum of the lamp beside me, and then there it is, a tiny sound from somewhere inside the walls, so small you might miss it if you weren't listening for anything at all. People call that a house creaking. I think that's unfair. Houses don't creak. They adjust. They remember where they are. They remind themselves that someone is here. After 9, those sounds don't feel random anymore. They feel considerate, like the house is saying, I've got this now. You can rest. I don't think the presence that comes with these sounds ever arrives suddenly. It doesn't enter. It doesn't announce itself. I think it waits for the day to loosen its grip and then simply stays. I take a small sip now. The warmth spreads slowly, not demanding anything, just offering. That's the gift of nights like this. Nothing rushes you. Nothing asks to be solved. Lily is already at my feet. She understands this hour better than I do. Her body relaxes before mine remembers it's allowed to. I rest my hand against her side. She doesn't look up. Trust doesn't require confirmation. Earlier today, I noticed the date, January 9th. Some dates don't make noise. They don't insist on being remembered. They just arrive and wait quietly to be felt. I didn't mark it down, didn't circle it. Some things stay without being written. There's a steadiness I recognize in myself tonight, the kind that doesn't speak much, the kind that stays. The house seems to recognize it too. Every sound it makes feels measured, intentional. If you're listening from somewhere unfamiliar, a different room, a different city, a different kind of life, know this. For this moment, this chair, this lamp, this quiet, they're yours too. You don't need to name what you're feeling. You don't need to fix the night. Just let the house settle. Let it keep watch for a while. We'll stay here together and listen to what happens next. After 9, the house doesn't just settle, it listens, not in the way people do, not waiting for words or explanations, just present enough to notice. I lean back a little deeper into the chair now. That sound again. Familiar, almost courteous. It's funny how objects behave differently at night. During the day, this chair is just a chair, but after 9, it seems to remember all the evenings it has held, all the weight it has learned to carry without comment. I lift my cup again, more out of habit than need. The tea has cooled slightly, not unpleasant, just honest. Warm things don't stay warm forever. They stay long enough. That sound, the cup touching the table, it always lands differently at night, quieter, as if the room doesn't want to interrupt itself. Somewhere inside the walls, something shifts. There, that one was deeper, lower in the chest. When I was younger, I would have paused everything to identify it. A pipe, the foundation, the temperature changing. Now, I don't need to know. Some sounds aren't asking to be named. They're just reminding you that you're not alone in the quiet. I suppose that's what people mean when they say a house has a presence. Not something dramatic, not something you point to, just the feeling that something notices when you exhale. A moment ago, I thought I heard the faintest click, not the door opening, not closing either, just settling into its place. That sound always comes when the night has decided it's done arriving, when everything that needs to be inside already is. Lily shifts again at my feet. She presses closer, then stills, as if she's making sure we're all accounted for. Animals don't wonder if something is real. They only wonder if it's safe. Her breathing evens out, slow, certain. I match it without meaning to. After 9, breathing changes. It drops lower, stops negotiating. That's usually when the thoughts come. Not loud ones, the steady kind. I find myself thinking about how some people love quietly, without reminders, without rehearsal. The kind of love that doesn't check in every day, but never actually leaves. There's a steadiness to that kind of presence. It doesn't announce itself. It just shows up where it matters. Another sound moves through the house. This one feels almost like a response, as if the walls heard the thought and agreed. I take another small sip. The cup is nearly empty now. That's all right. Evening rituals aren't about having more. They're about knowing when enough has already happened. If you're listening right now, and you feel that strange mix of calm and alertness, that's not something to fix. After 9, the nervous system loosens its grip. The body stops performing, and in that space, the quiet gets louder, not threatening, just clearer. I think that's when the night companion makes itself known, not by entering, but by staying. It doesn't speak, doesn't move things around. It simply shares the hour. Another faint sound from the floor beneath the chair. Not a complaint, just confirmation. I rest my hand on the arm of the chair now. The wood is cool, solid. Some things don't need warmth to be comforting. They just need to hold. The lamp hums softly beside me. It's the same sound it's always made, but tonight it feels closer. Light after 9 doesn't try to fill the room. It chooses where to stay. That's a kindness I've learned to appreciate. The house is very still now, not silent, just settled. If this is your first time hearing a house like this, you're doing it right. You don't need to listen harder. You don't need to understand. Just let the sounds come to you. We'll sit with them a little longer. There's more the night is willing to share. Once everything knows it doesn't have to hurry. And we have time. There's a moment after 9 when the house has finished settling. that feels like a held breath finally released. Not relief exactly, more like recognition. I sit a little stiller now, not because I'm listening harder, but because there's nothing left to brace against. The cup in my hands is empty. I notice it only when I lift it out of habit and feel how light it's become. That sound always feels different when the cup is done. Not an ending, just a soft acknowledgement. Enough has already happened. The house answers again. That one came from farther away. The back hallway, perhaps, where the floor remembers heavier steps. For a moment, I don't picture the hallway itself. I picture timing. Some people move through spaces quietly, not because they're trying to disappear, but because they've learned how to arrive without disturbance. I've always admired that. There's a certain steadiness to it, a way of being present without making noise about it. I find myself thinking of a young man who learned that skill early, not from instruction, but from watching when to speak, when not to, watching how love doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it just shows up, on time, reliable, unremarkable to everyone else. Another sound travels through the house, not mine this time. The chair across the room, the one nobody sits in anymore. It does that sometimes, only after 9. I don't turn my head. I don't need to. Some presences don't require looking at. People talk about being alone as if it's a single condition, but there are many kinds of alone. There's the loud kind, full of unanswered questions. And then there's this kind, the quiet kind, the kind that knows exactly who belongs here, even if they aren't in the room. I hear a faint sound near the doorway, not opening, not closing, just checking its place. That sound always makes me think of evenings long past, when doors were used gently, when coming home didn't need an announcement. I smile without meaning to. Some habits stay in the body, even when the house has changed, even when the people have grown. There's a rhythm to maturity, a way of loving that doesn't interrupt. I recognize that rhythm in the way the house sounds tonight. Measured, calm, certain. Lily shifts slightly at my feet, then stills again. She trusts this quiet, trusts that nothing needs to be done right now. Animals understand presence better than we do. They don't confuse it with absence. After 9, the nervous system settles into something older than language. The body stops scanning. That's when memory arrives differently. Not sharp, not demanding, just nearby. I think of city lights reflected on wet streets, not because I see them, but because I know someone who does. Someone who lives among tall buildings and careful routines. Someone whose days are structured, precise, and whose nights, I imagine, are quieter than people expect. There's comfort in knowing someone you love has learned how to be steady, not hard, not distant, just capable. The house makes another sound, lower this time, deeper. That one always arrives when the night has fully claimed the hour, when the world stops asking for updates. I rest my hands in my lap now. Nothing to hold, nothing to check. Some evenings don't require participation. They only ask for witness. If you're listening and you feel that gentle heaviness behind your eyes, not sleep, but the invitation to it, that's the night companion doing what it does best. Not pulling you anywhere, just staying long enough for your body to remember safety. The lamp beside me hums softly. It hasn't changed its brightness, but it feels closer now. Light does that after 9. It stops performing and starts accompanying. The house is very quiet again, not because nothing is here, but because everything has found its place. We'll sit like this a little longer. There's still another layer to this night, one the house only shares when it knows you're not in a hurry. And we're not. There comes a point in the evening, usually after 9, when I stop wondering what the quiet means. Not because I figured it out, but because I no longer need to. I shift slightly in the chair. The sound doesn't surprise me anymore. It feels expected, like a reply that's been waiting for the right moment. For years, I thought listening meant paying attention, leaning in, trying to understand. Now I know better. Listening at this hour is mostly about letting things stay as they are. I reach for the cup out of habit, then remember it's already empty. Still, I touch the rim. The porcelain is cooled completely now. No warmth left to chase. That sound, light, final, it always tells me the same thing. You don't need anything else. Somewhere in the house, a small sound answers back. Not loud, not sudden, just enough to be noticed. I don't tense. I don't try to locate it. I let it exist. That's something I learned late in life. Not everything needs a story. Some things only need permission. Ever ask me sometimes if nights like this, easily too full, I tell them the truth. Strange things ask for attention. This doesn't. This feels like companionship without obligation. There was a time when I would have filled this hour with noise, radio, television, anything to keep the silence from forming its own shape. But silence, I've learned, isn't something you outrun. It's something you grow into. Another sound, closer this time. Not movement, not arrival, just alignment. The house checking itself. I think of all the years this place has held different versions of me. The rushed one, the worried one, the one who thought rest had to be earned. Tonight, it seems content with who's here now. Lily stretches at my feet, then settles again, heavier this time, as if she's decided there's nowhere else she needs to be. I match her stillness. After 9, the body remembers things the mind forgets. How to soften, how to trust the weight beneath it. That's when the night companion feels closest, not as a presence beside me, but as the absence of urgency. Nothing pulling, nothing pushing, just a shared agreement to stay. I notice how the light sits in the room now, not reaching, not searching. It rests where it's needed. Light doesn't need to prove itself at this hour. Neither do I. I think about how some relationships become quieter over time, not because they fade, but because they've learned each other's rhythms. They stop checking in, stop explaining. They simply remain possible. That's what this night feels like. Possible. The house settles once more. Lower. Deeper. That sound always comes right before sleep begins negotiating. Not demanding it, just suggesting, if you're listening right now and you feel yourself easing without instruction, that's not something you need to question. You don't have to name what's keeping you company. You don't have to understand it. Some of the safest things in life arrive without introductions. I rest my hands again, empty, open. This is enough. The night knows it. The house knows it. And no, so do I. We'll let this quiet deepen on its own. There's still another layer waiting, one that comes when everything else has been set down. There's a moment, not sudden, not dramatic, when the body realizes it's allowed to stop watching the door. It doesn't happen because we tell it to. It happens because nothing asks it to stay alert anymore. I notice it first in my shoulders. They lower, just a fraction, enough to change the way the air moves through my chest. The chair feels heavier now, not uncomfortable, grounded. That sound has changed too, slower, deeper. The house seems to move differently when the body settles, as if it adjusts itself in response. There it is again. That one always comes when the nervous system begins to stand down, when the night stops being something to manage and starts becoming something to rest inside. I place my hands on my thighs, warm skin through fabric, solid. The cup stays on the table now. No reason to reach for it again. Some rituals complete themselves quietly. They don't announce the ending. Breathing changes at this hour. You might notice it too. Not deeper, lower. The kind of breath that doesn't try to fix anything. Lily's breathing has become slower than mine. Then still. Her trust is physical now. Full weight. No readiness to move. Animals don't rehearse sleep. They arrive when safety is felt. After 9, memory behaves differently. It doesn't bring pictures. It brings sensations. The way a familiar presence can be felt without being seen. The way care doesn't need words to remain intact. I think of evenings when the house was fuller. Not louder, just fuller. Footsteps that knew where they were going. Doors used gently. The quiet confidence of someone moving through space without hesitation. That kind of steadiness stays with you, even when the person is elsewhere. Even when the night looks like this. hum is steady now, not bright, not dim. It's doing exactly what it needs to do. Light after 9 understands boundaries. It doesn't spill, it stays. The house makes another sound. Not sharp, not surprising, almost reassuring, like a floorboard acknowledging weight and deciding it can hold it. This is the point in the night when worry usually tries to re-enter, quietly, disguised as responsibility. But tonight, it doesn't find a place to sit. There's no edge for it to perch on. If you're listening and your thoughts feel slower now, less urgent, less pointed, that's not fatigue. That's regulation. The body remembering how to come home to itself. I let my head rest back fully now. The chair receives it without comment. That sound always feels like consent. Nothing needs to be decided tonight. Nothing needs to be improved. The house has already done what it came to do, and so have you. The quiet is thick now, not heavy, protective, the kind that doesn't ask questions. We're close to the end of this part of the evening. Not sleep yet, but the place just before it, where the body is ready and the night knows it. There's nothing left to settle now. The house has found its balance. The night has stopped shifting. Even the quiet feels complete. I notice how little effort it takes to stay here. No adjustment, no holding, just being placed. The lamp beside me hasn't changed, but the way I see it has. It's no longer something I'm using. It's something that's staying with me. That's how most good things end the day. Not by leaving, but by remaining steady until they're no longer needed. Lily doesn't move. Her breathing is deep now, unconcerned, certain. She has crossed the line between listening and sleeping, and she trusts that nothing will change. I let myself follow that rhythm, not all the way, just enough. The body knows what comes next. It always does. We don't need to guide it. We don't need to ask anything of it. Sleep isn't something we enter. It's something we're received by. I think briefly, very briefly, of tomorrow. Not the tasks, not the plans, just the idea that morning will arrive and find things mostly in order. That's enough. If you're still awake right now, hovering at the edge, you're exactly where you should be. There's no rush to cross over, no pressure to let go faster. The night is patient. I lower my voice without trying to. It happens on its own. Some sounds simply belong to the end of the day. This is where I usually stop speaking. Not because there's nothing left to say, but because words have done their work. They've kept watch long enough. In a moment, you may stop hearing me clearly. That's not because I've gone anywhere. It's because you won't need me to hold the quiet anymore. If your eyes close now, that's all right. If they don't, that's all right too. The night will carry you either way. Thank you for sitting with me, for letting the house settle around you, for allowing yourself to soften, even briefly. We'll meet again when the light feels ready to be lifted. Until then, good night, sweetheart.